Anthony,
Gracie,
welcome back.
we're back.
So, here we are, coming up to the end of month 3.
Coming up to month 3.
Dry Spell Diaries, episode 2. So, we are coming, so what is it, 11 weeks? Is it roughly, or?
Just about, yeah. It'll be 90 days on the 1st of April, and that will smash through my previous PB of 90 days without alcohol.
So, you did 90 days, which is 2 months, really.
Yeah,
so
for free.
Yeah. So, how'd you feel?
Man, I feel great. I think a lot of people, when they do something like this, are looking for energy. What I've actually found, because I think I had that in spades.
You did have energy.
It was a great sense of calm, a lot of mental space. Nothing seems to be stressing me out anymore, which is probably the most profound
that's the
difference.
interesting. Well, that's anxiety. You're not getting anxiety, right?
Correct.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, first question, are you glad you're doing it?
110%.
Okay.
110%.
And in 3 months, what was the hardest point so far?
I think the beginning. The beginning was definitely the hardest.
So how long? 2 weeks, 1 day, 5 weeks? What we're talking?
First 2 weeks.
Yeah.
The first 2 weeks because we were still in summer. It was the New Year period. I started the day on New Year's Eve.
I remember.
Day. And there was still a lot of people off work, on holidays in the east, in the local area, going out and sort of socialising. So that was definitely the toughest. But since, work commitments and everything else sort of kicked back off, I found it relatively easy. Yeah.
And you've moved. So you actually moved about a couple hundred metres away from me, right? To Tamarama. Although I haven't seen you once. I saw you more before you moved to Tamarama. Now you've moved there, I haven't seen you. I love living in Tamar because it's really easy to go home and go to the beach or wander around. I find it quite a calm place, even though it's right next to hectic Bondi. It's quite calm. Has that helped, do you think?
I think definitely, yeah, because I was in Darlinghurst before, so I was right in the hustle and bustle. There's bars, restaurants, everything's super
walking past them on the way home, all that.
It's tough. But this has been, it's been great for me. I'm up every morning, I'm down at the beach. In the afternoons when it's warm, I'm doing the same. And over the weekends, I don't drive, Gracie. I don't get in the car on the weekends. I refuse.
Oh, no, why would you? The traffic's horrific right around there. So it's a good excuse not to go anywhere. No, it's an epic place to live. So which beach do you go to? Do you go to Bronte? Do you go to Mackenzie's? Do you go to Tamar? Or do you go to Bondi?
Anywhere from Mackenzie's to Bronte is kind of my patch. I tend to avoid Bondi. It's
me too.
Busy,
yeah, but, I don't go down there either.
It's it can be a bit much, but Mackenzie's down to Bronte is usually my little patch.
That's cool. All right, so we're 3 months in. You're happy you're doing it. Now let's dispel some myths, or even maybe validate some myths. How's your skin? Everyone always talks about the skin. Is your skin better? I got to say, I never really noticed your skin, but maybe other people have. How is your skin?
Skin's good, but I don't.
Have you noticed a difference? Do you think that you've got less? All the lines that are hanging off me right now. Do you feel that your skin's does it feel tighter? Do you think you look fresher?
I think there's a little bit more colour. That might just because it's coming out of summer, but less bags under the eyes. I think there's a continuity there
which comes into sleep, right? And everyone says the sleep is wild, it's just really deep, proper sleep. Is that? Do you feel?
Definitely true.
Let's go back to when you were drinking. Not after a big night, but let's say you'd had a relatively normal weekend and it was Wednesday, right? So you probably would have had decent sleep.
Yeah.
I still wake up and feel tired quite often. It's rare that I don't wake up and still feel tired. 100%. Has that gone for you?
Yeah, that's gone, which is a really interesting thing. Look, if you're training really hard, you're still going to be tired, but I used to be able to wake up at 5:36 and then put the head back down on the pillow and nod off for another 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
That just doesn't happen anymore.
You're ready to go.
I'm ready to go. I'm not bouncing out of bed all the time, but I don't ever feel that need of I need another 2-3 hours, or I'd really cherish an extra 2-3 hours.
Interesting.
So, definitely quality of sleep, I think, is a lot better.
And are you sleeping more, or is it just the quality?
No, not at all more. I think about the same. I'm pretty early to bed, so 9 o'clock bed, 5 a.m.
9 o'clock?
Yeah, I'm an early.
Wow, 9 o'clock. My kids aren't even in bed at 9 o'clock. They're vying to stay up, of course, but I'm a 10:30, 11, but 9's early.
Do you get 8 or what's
7? I always sleep 7 hours. I have to be exhausted to sleep more than 7 hours. I just wake up. Unlike you, I can't. I've never been able to put my head back down.
Yeah.
Once I'm up, I'm up. But I'm a 7 hour. But everyone's different, right?
Yeah, I'm about 7.5.
And what about the missus? Is she not drinking as well?
No, she's drinking. She's doing her thing. She's actually flown out to Japan today to go meet a friend of hers and do a bit of a.
And has that been hard?
No, I think you got to put in. This is a really good question. You just have to put in the effort to make sure that you're not robbing them of fun experiences that you do together. So, like, I drove a bunch of us out to the Fred Again concert on a Thursday night. Everyone else was, of course,
everybody went to that concert except for me, from what I can tell. So you drove
and had a great time.
Yeah.
You know, and that gave us that. Hey, we've been out, we've been together with our friends, we've had fun. Hosted her birthday at our place with 20 girls as well, and me and the boys sort of helped out there.
And you remember it all?
Yeah, 100%.
Which is awesome. Right?
Making
real memories.
Embarrass themselves.
Yeah. Well, and I guess, how have you found that? Because, you know, I've not drunk for a month. It's the longest I've ever done, which is embarrassingly short. But I do remember people can be quite annoying when they're drunk and you're not.
100%.
You've got 20 months of that, right? How are you getting used to that? Are you... I think maybe when you only give up for a short period of time, you're still a little bit irritable because you're almost withdrawing. But are you finding it funny? Are you just sort of accepting of that and enjoying watching people make idiots of themselves? Or do you still think, oh my God, here we go?
No, you raise a really good point. I think in the first month, I was doing it because I felt like I had to. Like Rachel's birthday, we had 20, 25 girls at lunch.
That's a lot.
A lot of loud
noise.
But and by the end of that, I was a bit worn out. And then at Fred Again, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go into this. I'm going to do what everyone else is doing. I'm going to let loose. I'm going to have fun, albeit I'm going to be sober.
Yeah.
And I found it much more enjoyable. And I've found that I've been able to, you know, meet people on their level. I didn't stay out as late as everyone. Like I dropped everyone home straight after.
Yep.
No
after party.
Yeah, no after party. But I enjoyed it. Like I was getting what I would usually get out of a night like that, albeit being completely sober.
Interesting, because
cool.
I remember, obviously, when we've been out in the past, you were very much an all or nothing kind of person. Like, you would
100%.
come out sometimes and have a couple of drinks, but then you'd go.
Yeah.
Or if you came out, you were out. And you were out at the end, like me, which is an awful habit that I can't seem to keep myself out of. But you weren't one of those people who could go out and sort of leave towards the end. You were always, like, right there at the end.
Definitely.
So it's a massive, massive swing.
Definitely.
It's good that I'm really pleased that you're enjoying it, because I was wondering, because 20 months is a really long time. And you don't want to be in a case where you don't want to go out. So you're at a point now where you want to go out as much as you did before, or you don't want to go out as much as you did before. How does that feel?
I think it's with the right people. Like if I'm with my genuine close friends who, you know, I can have real fun with without having to drink, then it works. I think sort of larger format events, or you know, with people that perhaps I'm not as comfortable with without alcohol, which I think we all
So you haven't been out with me, I've just noticed, so I see where this is going, right?
No, maybe we need to tee something up. That was more what I was getting. But yeah, it's been I think I'm definitely enjoying it. I wasn't out that much as it was. So,
no, you weren't. That was the all or nothing thing with you. You were out, then you were out, but you didn't go out a lot.
Yeah, so I think I'll maintain the number of outings and just make sure it's something that I'm going to enjoy with people whose company I'm going to enjoy, and then go for it. Music's a big one for me. I think that's probably why I enjoyed Fred Again. Like the pub's great, but I'm not a big gambler or anything of that nature.
I'm not a big pub person.
I prefer to go to a concert or a festival. Or I went to Blink 182 with Rachel. We did Fred Again and
dinners. I'm more of a dinner person, but yeah, which I guess is a little bit easier because you've got food, obviously. And so that brings me to my next question. Nice segue I created for myself. Food. So they do say that so there's two things I've heard about food, right? When you come onto a plant-based diet, your taste buds apparently go through this wild change.
Interesting.
And the same thing when you stop drinking. Not the same, but have you found food tastes better, different? Do you enjoy it more? Have you tried different things? Has there been any change? Are you eating less, more?
Well, I changed the diet because of the appointment with the naturopath. So she gave me like a shopping list and said, "Hey, your genealogy, you're likely to be deficient in, you know, all of these compounds. Yep. This is what you should be going for." So I've started eating a lot of cruciferous vegetables like broccolis and spinaches and cauliflowers and all that sort of jazz. So I've changed my diet, but not because of things tasting any better or worse. It was more just hey, if I'm going to go in on being healthy for 20 months, I may as well have a crack and
absolutely. So the naturopath, is that sort of based around, obviously, your genealogy, but it's also based around, do you do the whole allergy thing, all that kind of stuff, or is it just more?
Just DNA methylation, they call it. So they get your genealogy and they figure out what, with your genes, what deficiencies that you're likely to have.
That'd be super interesting.
It was super interesting. So there's certain enzymes that my genotype, which is hunter-gatherer, I think
you're a hunter-gatherer?
Yeah.
I love it.
Caveman.
What are the other options? No, don't worry, carry on.
Yeah, and she said, you're going to be deficient in choline, so she's got me on a choline supplement, which is apparently very good for neuro. It's like an omega-3 sort of thing.
Cool. Yep.
And some vitamin B and sulforaphane, which is broccoli sprouts, which has been really good actually. That I've noticed.
Yeah. Okay.
As well.
So do you feel from a work perspective? I know you said you're not getting the anxiety.
Yeah.
A good friend of ours, Miles, obviously, he hasn't drunk now for what? Probably 4 years. Yeah. He says to me that he feels so far ahead of his competition in his strategic thinking. Are you beginning to see that as well?
100%. That is literally, I couldn't have taken the words out of my own mouth. That's what.
Well, they were Miles's, but yeah. That's really interesting.
Yeah, because a lot of that's come from reading as well, like reading books on strategic thinking and things of that nature.
But you did some of that before. You were quite well.
But I don't think I was implementing it. That's the thing. Whereas now I'm like,
that's interesting.
Or not as effectively as I probably could have been. I was more concerned with, and again, this is probably the anxiety thing, consuming the content, get through the book fucking as quickly as you can, and then on to the next one. Whereas now I'm consciously, because I feel like I've got so much more mental space and time, I'll find myself writing notes when I'm reading, or putting notes in the page.
That's real. I'm like you. When I start a book, I want to get it done.
100%. That was always my.
I do find, I don't know if you do audiobooks, but I find I take in a lot more information, ironically, through audiobooks.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I discovered this when I stopped smoking 15 years ago, and I read the Alan Carr's book, the Stop Smoking book, which everyone says was genius. I read it, nothing. I listened to it, and I never smoked another cigarette at the end of it. And I thought, okay, there's something in that. And I've just discovered that if I read a book or if I listen to the book, I retain the information completely differently.
Yeah,
maybe it's the dyslexia, who knows? But it's interesting that you're implementing it. That's a change I wouldn't have expected or even thought about.
I think it's just because I feel like I've got so much more, not time as in hours in the day, but mental time and mental space. I'm focusing less on reading the book and focusing more on, what do I do with this? That's a great chapter. Yeah, we can use that for carb or boa or whatever it may be. Let me think about that now actively. Whereas before, like you sort of alluded to, I was kind of just like, let's get through these pages.
Yeah. Get it done. Yeah, I've read that book. Next one. Yeah. Interesting. I'm really surprised. That's not something I would have thought of. And has your day changed in any way? What else has sort of changed? Obviously, you've seen that naturopath. You've changed your diet. That was a conscious decision. Is there anything that's sort of just changed because of this new way of living?
Your problems don't go away. I think that's a big one to highlight. Yeah, you don't just stop drinking and everything's sweet. But my reaction to things is much better. Like on that same sort of conversation, like personal relationships.
So have you noticed a change in personal relationships?
Yeah, definitely.
When you say change, is it that you're feeling a better connection, or you're listening more, or what do you think it is?
Both. Yeah, better connection, listening more, and I think when there are issues. I was quite, I can be a feisty person, and so can Rachel, to be honest. Yep. So we can end up, butting heads quite loudly. Whereas nowadays, we're taking our time to sort of work through things with a bit more calm. I just don't feel that fuse, that I used to have.
So interesting.
Which is an interesting one.
I wonder what's going to happen. We've got 17 months left.
Yeah,
there'll be more changes for sure. It'll be really interesting to see what they are. Now we've got for you today, which I've forgotten, but we got it for you. I'm going to get it to you later today. Some presents from Beneficial Beer, which I don't know if I've showed you the picture of yet.
No, you did.
I did. Yeah. So David came on the show, and he's obviously created this non-alcoholic beer. Legend. And when I told him you were doing this, he said, we'll give you. So I feel like I've got 3 crates, which is a lot. So I might give you one at a time. I don't want you sitting there getting high on non-alcoholic beer. But yeah, I'm going to bring one of those around. I'll bring it around to Cub maybe later. But that's awesome that they've done that. And it's given me an idea I'm now going to see what other free stuff I can get you. So what do you want? Tell me what you want. What angles do you think we can go down? Yeah, let's have a think about this.
I mean, some joggers would be great. For
joggers? Yeah, okay.
For the marathon, I've signed up for Sydney.
When is it?
It's the 19th of September. I wanted to do the Gold Coast so bad, but they're sold out, unfortunately.
You know, if you go on those waiting lists,
I did.
Like I said, they often do come through.
Okay, well, I'm on there, so it might pop.
Because I just got accepted for the Noosa Triathlon, which is notoriously hard to get onto. So tell me, what's the furthest you've ever run?
Because
you've been running for a while now.
28?
Yeah. Okay, so you've done over half a marathon.
Yeah.
So it's another 12Ks, 13Ks. Okay, and so you've got plenty of time.
Heaps of time.
Yeah.
I need to start a program.
Do you find that you do? I've got that online coach that I used when I did my Ironman.
Actually, yeah,
I can introduce you to him. $90 a month, and he just puts. It's amazing. Graham's cool.
Perfect.
I'll do that intro.
Please.
But do you think that your body recovers quicker as well and things like that from exercise? I don't know.
I don't think it's recovering quicker. I feel like I'm breaking through like plateaus that I had before. Like I'm lifting heavier weights than I was.
Interesting.
Moving faster. Whereas, and I think I just,
you look
because
good.
every 2 weeks you're kind of like, reset. I've had a big night.
Yeah.
You don't kind of get the chance to fully repair and progress.
Yeah.
Whereas now I'm finding I'm like, okay, I've never lifted that much before in this particular exercise. Or whatever.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And the marathon, that's a big call. So was that just part of the whole?
That was just a goal for this year, regardless of the drinking. I just had to sign up to one. So
it's long
Sydney's locked. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
it's going to be painful. I can tell.
I don't know. I mean, you've run a half marathon, right? Once you've done that a few times, it's pretty easy.
True.
So there's no reason why it should be.
Because was it a marathon for your half?
No, it was. The Ironman was a 2K swim, 90K bike, half marathon.
Yeah,
but it was 6 hours. It took me 6 hours, long time, and I enjoyed it. I didn't find it. That's not true. I did not find it hard, but I didn't find it as hard as I thought it was going to be.
For sure.
So I think if you do the training, I think you should breeze it because you've got plenty of miles in your legs.
Yeah.
Well, this is good. I'm pleased. These are all positives. So are there any, before we wrap this one up, because I don't want to get too heavy in, because we've got God knows how many more episodes. Negatives. Any negatives?
I think it's just that the depth of connection that you establish with someone when you're drinking naturally.
Yep.
It's hard to replicate that.
As in new people, or
no, even existing. Like Rachel and I have spoken about that. She's like, it is nice, like sitting up chatting with your partner at all hours of the morning and music on and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So
you don't have that.
You don't have that, and it's hard to replicate without it. I don't know why, but it just is.
And what about? I mean, obviously, Cub, heaps of events, right?
Heaps.
Often alcohol involved in those events.
For sure.
You're meeting new people a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
That's obviously easier when alcohol's involved because of the inhibitions that naturally go down from everybody's perspective. Have you found any change there?
Yeah, definitely. I think at the start, I was still a bit not standoffish. You haven't loosened up yet. Yeah. Whereas I think, like over this 3-month period, I've relaxed.
You're immersed
internally. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I don't need that to feel comfortable having a conversation with a stranger or meeting someone.
And do you think, I never wanted another cigarette after I stopped or even really thought about it. Have you found that's gone away?
I don't feel like it at the moment. I definitely, that like having fun, with alcohol is definitely a part of my life that will be there, I think, after the 20 months.
Yep.
I was speaking to someone about this the other day. I think it will just be how I structure that. I work very well when I have concrete, black and white rules. So I think, like I was saying to someone as an example, having 2 holidays a year and giving myself from whatever that weekend is, like the 22nd of December to the 2nd of Jan each year. And it's like, that's when I do my drinking.
It's very strict rules.
And the rest of the time I don't know, it just kind of works for me.
About 2 weeks, it's like, Sydney, look out. Ant is about. It's funny that you like that structure, but I guess that's kind of it. I mean, look, we're 3 months into 20, right? So it'll be so fascinating to see how your mental view of the whole thing changes. During that period.
It's probably a bit frightening that I'm already thinking about what I'm going to do.
Well, to be fair, I did ask you. Mind you, you had your answer ready. It's true. I guess a lot of people probably asked you. I think that'll be the interesting thing. Last question, actually.
Yeah.
have people stopped asking you every time they see you, how's it going?
Yeah, I think we're just getting to that point.
Because that would be annoying.
It is. Yeah. And I've stopped wanting that to be the center of everything as well, right? Like even with the blog, I'm focusing more on health in general as opposed to just being sober, because you can only talk about that so many weeks or months in a row, for sure.
Yeah. And they can just listen to this if they want to hear. That's what you should just say. You should get it. I'll get you a t-shirt made. If you want to know how I'm going, listen to the podcast.
Done.
Boom. Mate, thanks again for coming.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks,
I am
You're the man.
looking forward to the next one.
Likewise.
See what changes.
Good man.